All right, it's media day for 558 Division One. I'm joined with Mansfield Timberview Head Coach James Brown. Coach, you have jumped up a division, and you are in a, like everybody, it seems like, in a 9-team district here with a lot of Dallas ISD teams and some Carrollton teams. Richland and Burville. Talk to me about your feelings about this district and how you guys might survey it.
Well, yeah, and I think that it's always a challenge every 2 years to kind of figure out where you're going to end up and what's going to happen during realignment. So, for us, it was we always kind of seem to be the swing team, whether we're headed to Region 1 or Region 2 and, who's going to get caught in that mix with us. So, being attached to Aledo, that district for a couple of years, I think was really beneficial for us. To have to learn how to compete on a weekly basis, I think that was really good with Everman and the Burlesons and those guys, and I really feel like it prepared us for round 2 with Ennis, number 1 in the state, a couple of years and undefeated the last 2 years, and so I really felt like the district prepared us for that. I'm really not really familiar with a lot of the schools that we've just jumped in with. We've never had the opportunity to get with Richland and Birdville. We've been with the ISD when we were with Highland Park and Legacy and Lancaster. So, we're familiar with some of those guys. And really, I think the only 2 that we're familiar with is Brian Adams and Sunset. But, I know that Sean does a really good job and OJ does a really good job at Sunset of getting those guys prepared. It's the first time in 30 years and 18 years as a head coach that I've been in a 9-team district. So I think that's a little bit different. But I'm excited about the district. It's a chance for our kids to get out to some different areas and see some different talents and competition. I know that those guys all do a really good job with their programs. So, we're excited about, seeing what lays ahead.
You mentioned not having a lot of time to prepare, and that seemed to be an issue last year, not the prepare thing, but you got off to that slow start. You started off 1-3, and then you went off 7-2, and then hit your nemesis Lovejoy there, which we can talk about another day. I guess you don't have to mess with them this year, but having only 2 non-district games, is it kind of, man, I can't even put, you can't say the stuff that I can say, but there will be some games in this district that could get a little bit out of hand. Is that beneficial and able to, maybe work some plays that you may be able to work in the playoffs later down the line?
Well, yeah, we got to play every Friday night. The old cliche of a head coach or a coaching staff and kids is preparing our kids for every Friday night. So I don't expect any true walkovers. I don't think you do that in any year. It doesn't matter what your district is or who you're playing. But, it's obviously a little bit different. You talked a little bit about the 1-3 start, over the last 4 years, and you also mentioned Lovejoy, which I appreciate, not really, but over the last 4 years, we've been fortunate enough to, get better, I think, as the year has gone on, and the 3 non-district games that really helped us. And, when you go back 4 years ago to playing, Highland Park and those guys in district and, playing the Lake Travis and early non-district play and getting, Lake Ridge and some of those 6A teams early on, I thought was really beneficial. Because we really I don't care too much about where we end up the first 3 games record-wise. For me, it's about finding the right players, putting our kids in the best position and finding the best product, what goes best with each other to get us into the best position to win later on in the season. So, 3 of those 4 years we went to the 3rd round. Being one of the 16 teams down in the state of Texas, I think that consistency has led to, where our program is now. And I think our kids just really understand the fact that, non-district for us is really finding out who we are. I think that each and every year you come in with a brand new team. They've all got a different type of personality from the one that you had before. However, at 16, 17, 18 years old, they don't believe that. I think a lot of times you walk into a year and those kids believe they are who they were last year with, 42 seniors who just left you and, 14 of them signed in college football. You're not the same team, So to get them in that position, it was always beneficial for us to play some really, really good caliber teams early on in the season. So I still feel like we have that this year. With, Sam Houston and SGP, 2 6A programs that are really going to, we'll struggle with a little bit depth-wise for sure, just because our numbers, really our football numbers are still 5A Division II football numbers, and we only have about 109 kids right now in spring football. We'll end up with about 150, 160 kids next year during the fall. So, when you look at the big 5A Division Ones and the 6A programs, they're all carrying, upwards of 200 kids in their programs. So for us, it's going to be a depth deal. But at the same time, we're trying to find the right 11 on each side of the ball, who can build some continuity and really understand each other as they work towards, the winning program and winning throughout the year.
I want to talk about some of your players on offense and defense side of the ball. And of course, we can talk about Jarvis Reed and his 1,400 yards. We can talk about Titus in the wide receiver spot. But, yeah, the guy I want to talk about is right there on the line there. Holy cow. I look at 6'6", 330. I don't even want to look at him because I think I'll be scared to death if I look at him. But what kind of luxury is it to have a guy like Andre Kojo on the offensive line to take up that kind of space and have that kind of skill level?
We've been really fortunate with that up front. I mean, Andre is and when I say he's a young kid, I mean, he's really, really a young kid. He'll finish his senior season playing at 16 years old. So, I mean, when we talk about him being a young guy, he's a 6'6", 330-pound kid who can move. He's a 4-star guy with a bunch of Division I Power 5 offers. But he is, he just turned 16 in January. So he played his entire junior year at 15 years old. He'll finish entire, senior at 16. But he's been able to learn, from a lot of guys. He's a natural talent. He's a big kid who's physically now really just starting to develop and becoming his own guy, which is scary, I think, for a lot of people. But, he's as good a pass protector as he is a run blocker. And for us, I think that is really significant for us. And, we've got 3 other guys who are returning who played significant for us on the offensive line last year. They're not 6'6" guys, but, they're 6 foot 6'1". They're all over 280, and they all move pretty well. And then we've got a young sleeper kid. I mean, he's going to be a senior, but he's kind of worked his way through the program. I mean, he's 6'5", 300. So, I mean, we really like where he is right now, his explosiveness. And I think, just Andre getting some of the love he's getting in the recruiting has really helped him, mature a little bit himself. So, I feel really good about that. I like where Andre is as a leader. He's put himself in a really good position to help the younger kids develop and get better. And he doesn't hold back on whatever knowledge he's learned at all these camps and colleges and his, outside work that he's getting. I mean, he brings that to our kids. And, our kids are just bought in to win football games. And they're really put together a really good family, and really enjoyed the fact that these guys have bought into the family atmosphere. And, our motto has always been family over everything. So I like where they are with that.
So that's going to help with the graduating your quarterback. I mean, it'll help to have a big offensive line to keep that new guy in there, his uniform clean.
Absolutely.
Let's move on to the defense, because you had a stellar defensive back, and 3 or 4 of them graduated, right? You graduated a lot of guys. Talk about who you have replaced in there. We know about Jordan Stanford, but talk about some of the other defensive players that we should keep an eye out on.
Well, I mean, John Smith is probably really the leader of the group. I mean, he played a little bit for us as a sophomore on the varsity level, and kind of got his teeth wet against Lovejoy, big time in that 3rd-round playoff game 2 years ago. And then last year, he's just a really intelligent, high football IQ guy who's got really good talent. I mean, I like where he's at. So he'll solidify us up there. He started every game last year for us on the back end. He and Jordan, I think, will really help put us in a good position. We've got a young sophomore, Cortland Jordan, who came up to the varsity in his first game because of injury. He had to start against Alito, had an interception and a caused fumble and a recovered fumble. So we like his development and where he's coming. I think the biggest key for us is, can we replace the 2 senior corners that are gone? Todd Dixon going over to Weaver State, and then Chance Anthony's headed to Tyler JC. So, I mean, the production that we're going to have to get at the corner position, I think, is going to be big. But we've got a few kids there that will be juniors next year that we really like. Heyman Milligan, a bigger body, and Benson Okan, which are 2 bigger body kids, about 6 foot, 185 pounds. Both can run really well. Joel Ahia is a going to be the lone senior, I think, with actually James Ozalua. Those will be the two seniors that are back there that are going to be fighting for that spot, and both of those guys are athletic and long and got some length. So I don't feel too bad about where we are in the secondary. I mean, that's something that we've never really had to worry about here at Timberview anyway, is some skill kids. For us, it's the depth part of it. But when that three-stack look with three safeties and, we're rolling some guys, so I think coverage-wise, I think we're going to be okay. Really, I think the place that we're going to take the biggest hit is up front defensively. We've got to be able to match, some of the things that we've lost over the last 2 years as far as the D linemen go. So I think that's going to be the biggest hit.
Well, you guys always have big-time talent there, that's for sure. And be interesting to see how you not only survey 5A Division I, but now you're in Region 2, which would be another interesting deal. You'll be heading up to Frisco when the playoffs start. So,
Right.
or Frisco team, I should say, unless it's short. But
Yeah, don't say Lone Star or Frisco High just that early. I mean, that's.
But it should be interesting, and I certainly enjoy talking with you, and I appreciate you spending some time with us.
Ward, I appreciate it. Thanks a bunch.